and it's a continuation of interactive Adobe forms. So last session we just have seen how we can include an Adobe form in our Dynpro component and how to populate a value with the help of init method. So now we are going to continue the same process, same Adobe form. So this time we are going to receive the value from the user, probably the production order, and then we are going to receive or retrieve the relevant details of the production order, and we are going to fill up the same Adobe form, the same standard Adobe form, goods issue list. So here mostly we are going to understand how the communication is happening between the Dynpro and then Adobe. So for this, you don't worry about if you're not sure how the Dynpro is working. It's fine. It's very easy to understand because it's a next version of Dynpro modelable programming. So the scenario is I'm going to receive the input from the user, and the trigger is going to happen with the help of a button. So here we call it as action. So in Dynpro we call it as PAI module. Here we call it as action method. So inside the action method we are going to retrieve the value which is entered by user, like production order. So for that we are going to use a few simple code, like again class and methods only, retrieve what they entered and then select statement, and then we are going to use some other methods. We are going to update, or we are going to fulfill the context, because context plays a major role to transfer the data between WebRender to Adobe. So we are going to update the context. Once the context is updated, obviously it will reflect in your Adobe form. So that is the scenario of this session. So mostly how the communication is happening between the WebRender and Adobe. And if you're not good with WebRender, so don't worry, because it's probably the pretty simple one to understand. I'm not going to include more WebRender options, just an input field and a button, or nothing much. Okay, so let's get into the slide. So okay, so here I have a Dynpro screen, and this is an Adobe. So here I'm going to make the communication happen with the help of context, because that is the only connection is happening, especially for the data, is happening between the context. So once you fill the context from the WebRender, maybe from a different method, depends on your scenario. If it is a initialization method, WDIN, do INIT, or an action method, whatever it is, that you have to decide based on your scenario. So mostly I'm going to use, I'm going to continue from the previous video development, like a intro component. The same thing I'm going to use today. Maybe I can just copy everything, and we are going to follow from there. Okay. Then yeah, this is the one which we're going to. So here is going to be a two-way communication, because I need to receive the user input. The user input field also going to connect with the context, because binding is important for input field. And then from the context, it automatically goes to Adobe. So there's no two-way communication as of now. So this one is based, everything is based on the user input, which is happening with the help of WebRender component. Okay. And then I'm going to design like this: user input field and a button and this Adobe. So whenever the user enters the production order and get, based on the relevant information, so going to display in my Adobe form. So a few technical steps. So once you design it, you need to bind the value of the input field. As I mentioned, I'm going to use one of the field which is available in the existing binding, existing context. Okay, and then I have to create an action for the button. Whenever there is a button, we need a function code in a Dynpro. The same way in Dynpro, we need to create an action, just a name. You can just give a name for the action, and automatically there will be a empty method is going to be defined in your WebIntro relevant class. Okay, so then method to be associated to that button or action button. And then so few more is like get the context node reference. It's how we are going to receive the value of the user input. So with the help of a few interfaces over here, and then here WD context node is always we start with the reference of this context node to get started with the basic coding. Okay, and then get the element reference. So context is nothing but for us the context is the Adobe name PPP underscore goods SSL issue, I believe, and then that we need to get the reference of it. And here we have a nested folder also, or context also, I can say, because we have a context PP and then again one more node I have. Okay, I have one more node and then I have an element on that. So I need to repeat this reference maybe more than once. Once we get the nested node reference also, we can get the element reference with the help of this context element interface. And then once you are fine with, you can touch the element, then you can read the user input with the help of a method called get attribute. Okay, so these are the steps which we are going to follow to receive the user input inside your method, the relevant method, whichever method you want, whether it's a get method or some other user triggered methods. Based on that, you have to write the code. And then another step of method is nothing but read the value. Once I have read the production order, then I could write a normal select statement. Depends on one table or two tables, get the data and then update the record to the context node with the help of a method called bind table. Okay, so once the context is updated, automatically it will update your Adobe as well. So these are the steps which we are going to follow to make this scenario happen. Okay, then yeah, that's it. Let's get into the system now. This is my system, so let's get into the Dynpro which we generated last time. So this is the one, and I have the view. It's mapped with the Adobe form, and there is a method init. So I have the code over here. So what I'm going to do is let me comment this. Okay, so I commented the init method. So nothing is going to generate once I loaded my application. Now go to layout. I'm going to have one input field along with the button, and if you see the context, so context is already enabled. So I'm going to fill this node as well as this node. Once I filled, automatically reflected in my Adobe form. So that is the idea. So now go to the layout and have insert element. So I need input field. Input one. It's an input field. And then I need some label for this. Label. Okay, and then I need a button. So the properties to be filled, let's wait for that. Get button. Okay. So I want to keep Adobe at the end. Just drag and drop. It works. Okay. So label before this. So forget about how to organize well. That we can see in the Dynpro videos. Then there's a label. So come to the properties of the label. Same like with Dynpro, it shows it's same color, I can say, same kind of color. It shows the mandatory values of the property. So label for, if it is a label, you have to mention label for which input component. So I have two, so I want this one, input component as in1, and what is the text? Production order. Okay, so it's done. So no other field has that color, mandatory color. So now go up, input field. So it reflects here. So input field, I need a binding. So let's come down. So here, its value. So value is empty. It shows mandatory binding is missing. So just click it. It will take you to the context. So to which field you want to do the binding. So I need to do this with my order number AUFNR. So binding is done for the import field, and one more component is button. So select that button. So it's come here. So you can see the button is not enabled. So here, okay, it's not, it's look like it's not enabled. Let me have a name, then you're able to see that. So text is get data. Okay. So you can see it's not, it's kind of a disabled mode because the action is not connected with the button. So you have to go to little down and you have to create the action over here. So you have to create the action, get, then get data. So these are, we can see probably the Dynpro series, like what is the outbound plug and all. So now we don't want that, just a name of the action and description. Continue. Okay, now if you see the button in the layouts, okay, it's enabled because the action has made. Okay, so almost we are good. Now once you create an action, so here there is an action tab. Just go to action tab, whatever name you given, the same name, the method is also created. Okay, so the event handler is nothing but on action get. So whenever the user click the button, automatically it comes and search what kind of code is available in this method, it start executing it. Okay, so this is the basic communication is happening between these two, Dynpro and the Adobe. Inside this method, you're going to write the basic code, how to receive the value from the user input field and how to get the data from database table with a select statement and fill the context. So it's done. Okay. So now let's go to the code level. It's very simple. So code level, I need the basic object reference, subject for context. Okay, I can go with WD, type ref2, interface, WD context node. Okay, so first I'm going to get the value from the user input, field. So for that I need a reference of the context first. So it kind of a deep concept nested context node, I can say. So we need to get that level, then only we are able to receive the value of AUFNR. Okay, so for that first I need an object. WD is nothing but WD context. So these are predefined reference. Then I need a method get child node. Okay, so the child node is name as, you can give a name, means hard-coded value like PPP underscore whatever it is. The other way is another object reference, default object reference is WD this. Okay, arrow, and you can start with WD CTX underscore control space bar. So it creates. So it creates the node. If you see, context is a common one, and this is your context name, and this is your one more node and one more node. It's created it. Either you can go with a hard-coded one, or this way also it works. Okay, I'm selecting that. So this is actually a variable, so don't place it in within single quotes. Okay, so done. So I need one more node is available there, so I have to get that also. That I can say object element equal to object WD, because this has a reference of the first node, so I have to use that one. And then the same method child node, there's no space, name equal to WD this, same context WD CAUFVD. I want that one because the AUFNR is available in this particular node only. So almost I have this reached the element level, means the nested node level. Now this node has all the elements, all the fields. So now I'm going to use get attribute to read the value. So for that I need one variable for AUFNR, type AUFNR. Okay. So now I'm going to use a get attribute with the help of this object. So either it's an on the flow, you can declare this object reference, or I can say this object reference is refer to, this is just for your reference. So if context element node, I think I'm not wrong, context element node. So here is a WD context, I think it's a WD, I believe, WD context node, and this is a WD context element node. Okay, so now I need a get attribute. So control F6, ABAP object pattern. So here I'm going to give object element, and then if WD context element node. Okay, I believe it's context element. Yeah. Okay, and then let me change here. It's just WD context element, not a node. And then there is a method called get attribute. So this one. Okay, so this is element. Okay, now get attribute. What is the name of the field? So it's AUFNR, and whatever we are receiving, I'm going to store it in a local variable LA AUFNR. Okay, so we received the value whatever user is enters in the input field. So the next one is I need to get the data from the database based on the user input. Data from AUFK and AFPO, because items as well. Excuse me. So it's pretty simple. So select, I need AUFK, AUFNR, and then so I want works, matter, nothing much, works. From AUFK in join AFPO. So on AUFK, AUFNR equals AFPO AUFNR. Okay, so into it's going to be a single record I'm going to take. So I preferred work area. So that is the case. I have to use single here. Okay, so depends on your need. You can change is normal select statement. So this is done. Then I need to fill the context. Fill the Adobe context. So for that I need some declaration. So here declaration I'm just doing on the flow of the program. Normally you just do declaration always in the top of the program. So here I need some work area to hold CAU FVD structure, as well as I need an internal table because what do you call it? The bind table method needs table type or the body of an internal table, CAU FVD. Okay. So the last declaration probably for RSBD, type RSBD, and the internal table RESBD, type table of RESBD. Okay. So now I'm going to fill this information. Anyway, I just read the data which is available in WE underscore data field. So I'm going to fill it. So this one I'm going to fill AUFNR, W data, AUFNR. And then this might have a material. Let me check. Yes, I do have a material here. That is also getting from this. Then I think that's it. Append CAUFUD to IT CAUFUD. Okay. So let me fill the same for RESB also. RESBD I need that also has an order number. Yes, UFNR is equal to WA data UFNR, and then I need the works W data works. That's it, nothing much. RESBD to IT RESBD. Okay, so we have come to the final one. So now I need to map this to the context node. Okay, so that we can do the same what we have done in the init method also. So here we are going to use the same thing, object WD equal to context. I need the exactly which node I need to pass the value. This path get node. I underscore good underscore ISS list GAUFVD. Okay, then I need to use a bind. So object WD bind table, new items equal to ID underscore CAUFVD. That's it. So I'm going to do this for my next node also. Copy this, paste it. So it should be RESBD. Okay, and this is also going to be RESBD. Okay, that's it. So activate it. And if you start working with the Dynpro, probably you just activate from the root. It always helps. If there is any inactive object, it's try to activate the whole at one step. So always go with the right click, activate from here. And then go to Dynpro application and execute. So this is actually generated in the previous video. I just follow the same. So here, it just opened because I don't have an Adobe, otherwise it reflects here. It looks nice actually. Once you enter get data, it reflects your Adobe in the same component. So if it is not available, that is the reason. It's even while executing itself, it's asking me to open the Adobe form. So if you click, it opens the empty form here. So now if you enter the values, let me have a value from the table AFPO 7002. So go here, enter the values and click get data. It reflects here, but unfortunately I'm not able to show you that. Just click open and it's opened with okay. I got it. I didn't give my var condition. One second, it's my mistake, because it takes always the first one. I use a select single. Go here, action, get. Okay, so the value is in the local variable, right? LVAUFNR. So here into data, so where AUFK AUFNR equals user input. Okay, I need an escape character also. Active audit. So maybe here I can do the refresh. Cancel 7002, get data, open, it reflects. Okay, so whenever you enter the value, it automatically reflects. Again, I'm saying it's look wise, it's really good once you see in the WebDentro component itself. It mostly is available the Adobe, but this is a rental system, so probably that is the reason. So this is a way you can start communicating with your Adobe form from the user input with the help of the WebDentro component. So here I enter only one value, so you can keep adding the items because this is the items. Header has only one record, item has multiple record. So you can just add whatever data you need. Okay, so this is the way the communication happens between the WebDentro component and then Adobe. So I hope this might be useful for you. And thank you so much for your time. If you have any doubt, please let me know. See you in the next video. Okay, bye.